Good morning. It is 10:52 a.m. on Monday, March 11th, 2019. I am Christiana Ellis, and I have just gotten up, and this is 5 more minutes. So, boy, my schedule, now that I've been working at home, just keeps sliding later and later because it's always easier to stay up late than to go to bed early. So, what are you going to do? I mean, I could work on that, I suppose, but part of what I did last night is because I was working the weekend to make up for some scheduling stuff. So I was feeling the need to kick back a little bit after I finished, and because my whole schedule was shifted, I've been replaying the first Uncharted, and I may go ahead and replay the whole series. Since I finished Red Dead Redemption 2, I've been my video game preferences have trended more towards old familiar games. I could probably psychoanalyze that if I wanted. But I think what I wanted to talk about today is that over the course of the last week or so, I've also watched all of Marvel, or not Marvel, but Netflix's The Umbrella Academy, which is based on a graphic novel that I have read. I read the graphic novel many years ago, and to be honest, I didn't even look it back up, so I'm not sure. I have the vague sense watching the TV version that they changed a lot of stuff, and that it was not actually a very similar plot, but I think that I may be mistaken about that because, as I said, it's been a long time. I probably have it in my stacks of comic books somewhere, but I think I may actually look it up now just to see how well I was remembering or not remembering. But so let's talk about the show, which needs to stand on its own, separate from the graphic novel anyway, because not everybody's read it. So the show, if you're not familiar already, the basic premise of it is that there was some mysterious event that caused 43 babies to all be born at the same time to women that were not previously pregnant, which is alarming. And then we have this guy, Reginald Hargreaves, who goes out of his way to adopt as many as possible, and he gets 7. And adopt is kind of a charitable term because we literally see him march up to one of the mothers and say, "How much do you want for it?" So he raises these 7 kids that he gets as kind of like this little team of child superheroes. And a big part of the drama of the season is retroactively interrogating pretty much his every decision, because he was pretty much a stern taskmaster of a father who did a lot of things that seemed casually cruel or dismissive of the kids and resulted in them having emotional problems now as they're adults. And so the idea is that there's these 7, 6 of them were made into this team, and 1 was always kept separate because she didn't have any powers, is the premise here. And then over the course of the years, 1 is killed, another disappears because he can travel through space and time, and he does so and doesn't come back. And then everyone else kind of gradually drifts away. And now the father has died, and as adults, they all need to come back and mourn. But they find out that there's perhaps an apocalypse on the horizon, and they need to do something about it. But they're all kind of messed up, and they don't work well with each other, and so on. That's the basic plot. There's a lot of very comic booky stuff in it that, to the show's credit, it just sort of approaches casually, makes no big deal of the fact that one of the kids has spent the last 4 years on the moon. No big deal. In fact, they do not even address how he comes back when he hears about his father dying. They also have an intelligent talking chimpanzee named Pogo, who's kind of like, sort of like an uncle, I guess. But it's also, it's a complicated relationship where it's clear he is more intelligent and can speak compared to the average chimpanzee because of Reginald Hargreaves. So it's like he's like creator, kind of. And they have a robot mom, and that's weird too. But it treats all of these things as the comic booky weirdness they are. Like, they're not common in the world of the show, but they're common to the characters because that's how they grew up. So I think overall, as a review, I think that it's uneven. I feel like I liked the characters a fair amount. A lot of them, I felt like I was invested in a lot of the different subplots going on, and that's really where I enjoyed the show the most, was in dealing with the various emotional issues of all of these adoptive siblings. There's some weirdness where I think a lot of the action sequences are ambitious but feel a little bit lackluster, and I think probably you'd need a cinematography or fight choreography expert to explain why some of them don't feel as exciting as maybe they were supposed to. The show also frequently uses, like, quirky music cues to accompany the action sequences, and I think some of them work, but some of them really just feel like it's a little too on the nose. That's like, oh, isn't it weird that we decided to put this song over the fight sequence? And, I think I can enjoy when TV shows and movies have unexpected music choices, but frequently in this show, it felt kind of like there's no connection thematically or lyrically to what's happening on screen and the music. It just feels like, oh, that's a cool song, let's just put that over the fight scene for no reason. That's kind of that's how some of them felt to me. But overall, the plot is kind of meandering. It kind of spirals in on itself after a while. But like I said, I found myself invested in the characters, and so I think if you're interested in these sorts of comic booky shows, but you want something that's a little more off the beaten path than just your standard superhero fare, yeah, I think it's worth watching. So I'll go ahead and leave it there. And Nobila says, watch the first episode last night. Well, I think that, the first couple will pretty much tell you what to expect from the later ones. Not in terms of plot, but in terms of tone. So, like, if you watch the first couple and you're just not digging it, it's not going to get better than that. But it does kind of, if you find yourself intrigued and interested in the characters, then that certainly keeps going. So thank you to those of you who checked this out live, and or if you have your own thoughts and feelings on the Umbrella Academy, let me know. In the meantime, I will talk to you all tomorrow for 5 more minutes.